All right. Bring in Joe Torre, manager of the Yankees, Joe's done an awful lot of things, including a former New York Met. Did you ever think in your lifetime the Mets were going to get a no-hitter, Joe?
Yeah, I never even thought of it. The thing that comes to mind, Dan, is, Tom Seaver coming within a whisker, pitching one against the Cubs back when. I think a guy named Jimmy Qualls hit a base hit to left field or something like that. But, Santana's pretty special, and I think it's great, especially what he had to endure with the surgery and everything, to have him come back like that.
What's the role of the catcher as the game progresses during a no-hitter?
Superstition, probably, and not getting too fancy. If whatever has worked up to this point, let's not deviate, even though you think, you should all of a sudden throw a pitch you really haven't gone to for the game. And, the closest I came as a catcher was the ninth inning left-hand pitcher named Wade Blasingame, and Kurt Flood broke it up when Kurt was with the Cardinals, and I was catching from Milwaukee back in the 60s before we moved to Atlanta.
How many games did you ever get no hit as a hitter?
Yes, I did. Let me see. It was Ed Halicki, if I remember. He pitched for the Giants.
Yeah.
Against us, I was playing for the Mets, if I'm not mistaken, at the time.
Well, Santana, I think the fact that it is the Mets and all the great pitchers that they've had, and for him to do it coming back from surgery, pretty amazing. But if you look at the play with Beltran, that I said if you have instant replay, I just like fair and foul. That if I'm going to use it, I don't need to have it full blown. Where do you stand on replay, and how does that compare with the commissioner of adding a little bit more replay?
Well, I thought it was a no-brainer, Dan, just to go fair or foul, over the bag and things like that. And then I started talking to, some of my supervisors, my umpire supervisors, and I started talking to some of the technical people. And first of all, in the technical area, unless we have the same number of, cameras in all the ballparks doing, the replay stuff, then it's not a level playing field. There are a lot more cameras in Yankee Stadium than there are in Baltimore and things like that. And then the fair foul thing, if I'm an umpire, and I'm thinking from that perspective now because of my job, and if a ball's hit down the line, and I always encourage my umpires to call what they see, because that's the only way you can do your job is to do the best you can, and hopefully you come down on the right side. Well, if you call a ball foul and then replay shows it's fair, now you got the task of putting runners in certain places, and that.
No. Yeah.
And what happens then? Now you got the argument starts. Here you're trying to speed the game up and get it right, and all of a sudden the argument stops. And now you're thinking as an umpire, if it's close, I'm going to call it fair because I can always say it's foul and there's really no harm done. But that's really going against the grain. That was an area that really struck me as far as increasing the replay. However, we still have meetings set up. Hawkeye is one of the companies. They do the tennis, which I find amazing. I love the tennis stuff, and they do it quickly. And I think they're very well, and they're involved in soccer and cricket, and they have ways that instantaneously they can let you know things. Baseball's a little bit different, with what we need, as far as trap balls and things like that. So, I think at some point, if the technology tells it makes sense, then I'm for it. Otherwise, I'm going to resist and really recommend. And actually, the committee, the commissioners' committee, the on-field committee with, Social, LaRussa, Leland, and myself, and plus owners and general managers, we feel at this point in time that, this is the game. We own it. We like it the way it is. Do we want it to be perfect? I think the only time there's an outcry is if somebody misses a tag somewhere. There's a bang-bang play that's in the 8th or 9th inning, and I certainly understand the emotion of it. But to me, over 162 games, I think when you come out on the short end, somebody on the other side comes out on the long end. So I think it's pretty equal. Even though you don't want to miss a play. There's no question about it. But baseball's run pretty well for a long time. Even though we continue to look at it, and we're certainly at some point, if it makes sense, we'll do it.
He's Joe Torre, Major League Baseball Executive Vice President, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. How close were you to getting the Dodgers, Joe?
I don't think we were very close. We went through the first round where we were approved and went on to the next round, and probably would have been approved beyond that. Except that my partner Rick Caruso, who was a development man out in Los Angeles, very well thought of, and very well entrenched in the LA area. I had known Rick a little bit, and he's been a developer out there, and in fact, there's pretty good chance he's going to run for mayor next time around. He's a good guy, and but when we were exploring and had meetings, with the Dodgers and Frank McCourt, and Frank assured us at that time that the parking lots were not going to be included, and Rick basically said if that's the case, then we really have to step aside, in hopes that we get back in at a later time if that changed, but it never did.
Another thing I was thinking about, when you see these salaries now, Pujols with the Angels, certainly the guys with the Yankees, guys who get paid big money with the Red Sox, when you manage guys who get paid this money, and they know that the media and fans look at the numbers that they put up attached to the money that they make, how tough is it to manage somebody who knows that they have to put up stats? It's not about winning all the time. It's also the stats that go along with the winning that's important to these guys making $20, $25, $30 million a year.
Well, it's really – I was lucky. We won the first year I was with New York, and, I think the fact that the formula worked as far as trying to win and making winning the priority. It usually ties together. If your best players have good years, then the chances are you're going to do well. But, I think players put a lot of pressure on themselves when they're thinking about individual stats. I know I watched Derek Jeter, at the end of a year, whether it was in his second or third year, trying to hit 20 home runs or trying to do this. It made it difficult when that was a priority as opposed to, trying to hit a ground ball to the right side and, move a runner. And I just think it's a lot less pressurized when you're thinking about winning. Not that the guys who go for stats don't want to win. It's just that, unfortunately, we glorify individual achievement nowadays, and I think that's what sort of gets everybody's attention. But I was lucky. We won, and anytime we got a player from another club, they always come in and said, "What can I do?" So I was pretty fortunate over there.
I know you got something coming up June 14th at the Bel Air Hotel with Vince Scully inside the game. Tell the folks about that, how they can get involved with that.
Well, our Safe at Home Foundation, we have 8 schools here in the New York area, and then the Brooklyn and Queens Family Justice Centers. We put safe rooms named after my mom, Margaret's place. And we opened up in L.A. We have one school in Mar Vista, and we have someone gave us a donation matching grant thing, and we're putting together a function on June 14th. And Allie, my wife, really looked at the schedule and said, "Hey, we can do this, instead of necessarily, getting an entertainer and doing it that way. We decided to do inside baseball, and we find out that the Angels and the Dodgers are off the same day. So we're going to have Mattingly, we're going to have Socha, we're going to have Tommy Lasorda, and as you mentioned, Vince Scully is going to host it, and we're going to have Tony La Russa. So it's going to be a fun evening. It's smallish shows. Like 20 tables, 200 people, and and hopefully we can raise money and be able to open a couple of schools this coming fall. Well, two more schools this coming fall in the LA area. So I'm excited about it. You know, we're probably about 75% sold out at this point in time, and we're looking forward to it.
JoeTorre.org for more information on that June 14th at the Hotel Bel Air. Joe, good to visit with you again. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Dan. Thank you.
All right, Joe Torre, Major League Baseball Executive VP of Operations.